Welcome to your class. Today we're going to take a look at the first basic thing about complex numbers, which is the arithmetic of complex numbers. Okay, so what we are going to learn in this lesson is we're going to learn the addition of complex numbers. Okay, so given two complex numbers, we're going to see how do we add them. Okay, remember I said that complex numbers are in the form a plus bi. Okay, so given this complex number and another similar complex numbers, let's say it is saying c plus di. Okay, we're going to learn how do we add them. Okay, then the next thing is we're going to learn the multiplication of complex numbers. Okay, so given two complex numbers like this, we are going to learn how do we multiply them. Okay, then the other thing is you're going to see how do we divide two complex numbers. Let's say we have this complex number and this complex number. Okay, we're going to learn how do you divide them. Okay, so this is it from this lesson. We're going to be learning more on the next video, so please make sure after this you are subscribed so that you won't miss other things. Okay, now let's get into addition, multiplication, and division of complex numbers. The first thing you are going to take a look at is addition of complex numbers. Okay, so let's say you are given two complex numbers. Let's say the first one is a plus bi is a complex number, then is being added to another complex number. This is another complex number. Then, okay, remember that this is a number as a whole. Okay, it is a number as a whole with the real part and the imaginary part. It is a number as a whole. And you are given another part, which is, let's say, x plus yi. Okay, so this is another complex number. Okay, so you are being told to add them. Okay, so what you do is you take the real part. I told you that this part without an I is called the real part. Okay, so you add the real parts first. Okay, so you say a plus x. Okay, then you add the imaginary parts. Okay, so it becomes b plus y. Okay, then you put I here. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're just going to add these two real numbers and you're just going to get add these two real numbers and you get your answer. Okay, so let me do it with an example. Let's say you're given two complex numbers. The first complex number is 3 plus 4i is being added to another complex number, which is 2 plus 5i. Okay, so these are our complex numbers. Now, let's see how do we add them. We first take the real part. The real part here is 3. The real part here is 2. Okay, so you're going to say 3 plus 2. Then you put the brackets here. Then you say plus. Then now you are going to add the imaginary part. Is 4 and 5. Okay, so it becomes 4 plus 5. Okay, then you put I here. Okay, after that you're just going to add as normal. Like here 3 plus 2 is going to give us 5, then plus, then here 4 plus 5 is going to give us 9, so it becomes 9. Okay, so this is how we add complex numbers. Okay, so as easy as that, just take the real part and add them together, the imaginary part and add them together. Okay, so this is it. Let's go on to and see how do we multiply them. Our next task is to multiply complex number. Okay, so I'm going to explain about the multiplication of complex numbers. Okay, so let's say you are given two complex numbers. In this case, I'm going to use these variables to explain. So let's say you are given a plus bi as the first complex number, and is being multiplied by another complex number is x plus yi. Okay, so I'll be using this to illustrate. Okay, so what you do here is you're going to do what you do with algebra. Okay, you're given this part and this. You're going to do what you do with algebra. Okay, so what you do is you're going to say a multiplied by x. Okay, so what you can do the easy way is to just say a, then multiply this x plus yi, then you say plus bi, then you say x plus yi. Okay, so this is a direct way. It is not fast, but it is a direct one. Okay, so now you're going to say a times x, you're going to say a x. Then here a times yi, you're going to get a y I. Then here you're going to get bi times x, you're going to get xbi. Then here bi multiplied by yi, you're going to get a by and I squared. Okay, so this is it here. Now, what you're going to do is, here we know that I squared is equals to minus 1. Okay, we know that I squared is equals to minus 1. Okay, so you're going to substitute here. So you're going to get ax plus ayi plus xbi plus, here with this minus, it becomes minus by. Okay, so now we know that this one is a real part and this one is a real part. Okay, so now it becomes ax minus by as a real part plus ay plus xb as an imaginary part. Okay, so this becomes your solution. Okay, now let's go on and do an example and illustrate using numbers. Okay, so let's say you have a complex number. It is 1 plus 2i is being multiplied by another complex number, which is 3 plus 2i. Okay, I just chose the same number here. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to say 1 multiplied by 3 plus 2i plus 2i multiplied by 3 plus 2i. Okay, this is it. Okay, now let's multiply here. 1 minus 1 multiplied by 3, we're going to get 3. 1 multiplied by 2i, we're going to get 2i. Then here, 2i multiplied by 3, we're going to get 6i. Okay, in this multiplication, we're going to say 2i here, 2i multiplied by 3. Okay, this is going to give us you just multiply the numbers and leave an I here. Like this, it becomes 6i. Okay, so this is it. Just like variables. Okay, so now it becomes 6i. Then 2i multiplied by 2i, it's going to give us 4i squared. Okay, now we know that I squared is equals to minus 1. This means that this one is going to become negative. Okay, so now it's equals to 3 plus here 2i plus 6i is going to give us 8i. Then here on 4, it is going to give us 4. It's going to give us minus because here we have a minus here. So it becomes plus 4. Then here it's minus 1. Okay, so if you multiply here, we're going to get here we're going to get 3 plus 8i, then here minus 4. Okay, now we can group the real parts here. It's 3 minus 4, it's become 1 minus 1 plus 8i. Okay, so this one becomes our answer. So if you multiply these two complex numbers, we're going to get another complex number like this. Okay, so that was that on multiplication. Now let's take a look at division. It involves multiplication, so make sure you understood how do we multiply. Okay, so before we go on, let's first talk about a conjugate. Okay, so a conjugate of a complex number is a complex number in such a way that if we multiply it by it becomes a real number. Okay, so let's say we have a complex number 1 plus 3i. If you multiply it with another complex number, let me represent it by z. Okay, it's going to give us a real number without complex. Okay, this is what we call a conjugate of a complex number. Okay, so in this case, if you want to find the conjugate of this one, it's going to say if it's 1 plus 3i, a conjugate of this is 1 minus 3i. You are just going to change the sign on the middle here. You're just going to change the sign on the middle here. Okay, you're going to change the sign of the imaginary part. Okay, so this is it. If you want to find a conjugate of a complex number, you just change the sign of this imaginary part. Okay, so we can say that this one is a conjugate of this one. Okay, so this is it. Let's understand the conjugate first. Okay, we use it on division. Okay, so let's say you are given two complex numbers. Let's say in this case it's 3 plus 4i over 3 plus 2i. Okay, so these are our complex numbers. They are being divided. This complex number is being divided by this complex number. What you do is you multiply by the conjugate of a denominator. Okay. Okay, you multiply by the conjugate of the denominator. Okay, so here we can see that our denominator in this case is 3 plus 2i. Okay, so you're going to multiply by the conjugate of a denominator on top and on bottom. Okay, in this case, you're going to see that the conjugate of this is going to become 3 minus 2i. Then the conjugate of this again is going to become 3 minus 2i. Okay, so we're just going to multiply on top and on bottom with this one. Okay, so now how do we do that? Now let's solve it. Okay, so the multiplication, I remember I taught you how to multiply. Okay, so now we just have to apply the multiplication. Okay, so we're going to say I'm going to do it fast here. You can multiply the long way, but I'm going to do it fast here. Okay, so it becomes 3 times 3, it becomes 9. Then 3 times minus 2, it becomes minus 6i. Then here it becomes 4 times 4i times 3, it becomes plus 12i. Then here 4i times minus 2i, it becomes minus 8I squared. Okay, so all over, if we multiply this, you're going to say 3 times 3, you're going to get 9. 3 times minus 2I, we're going to get minus 6I. Then here, 2I times 3, we're going to get plus 6I. Then here, minus 2I times 2I, we're going to get minus 4I squared. Okay, so now we can see that here our answer becomes 9I. Okay, here it's 9I. It's 9 minus 6. Okay, 6I plus 12I, we're going to get plus 6I. Then here and minus 8. Then I squared, it's minus 1. Okay, so we are going to get on the bottom, we're going to get minus 6I and plus 6I is going to give us 0. Then here we're going to get 9 minus 4. Then I squared is minus 1. Okay, so now you can see that here we have 9. Here is going to come plus 8 plus 6I. Then here at the denominator, we're going to get 9. Here it's going to come plus 4. Okay, so we can simply say we have our answer is here 9 plus 8 is going to give us 17 plus 6I. Then here 9 plus 4 is going to give us 13. Okay, so our answer becomes 17 over 13 plus 6 over 13I. Okay, so this is our answer of a complex number. Okay, this is if you do the long multiplication. Now you can see that here on the denominator you can multiply this first. Okay, so given these two, I'm going to show you a fast trick to do this. If given these two, to multiply these two, you can just say 3 squared. Okay, this one 3 squared plus this one 2 squared. Okay, this is going to give us your answer, which is 9 plus 4, which is going to give us 13. Okay, so you can simply multiply this bottom part by just saying 3 squared plus 2 squared. You don't have to go through this way. Okay, so this is how we divide, this is how we multiply, and this is how we add complex numbers. Okay, so that was that. I hope you understood how do we do this. If you have any questions, please ask in the comment section. I will be there to answer your questions now. Let's make sure you're subscribed so that the next video is going to come with a good lecture where you're going to learn more about these complex numbers. Okay, they're interesting and you're going to have to learn from them. Okay.